Hello and welcome to your July 8th daily briefing. For those of you who are asking, I just took a couple days break from the constant news every single day to just kind of refresh and recharge myself from current events. But I'm back, I'm ready, I'm here for the long term. Today we're going to talk about some promising news with the next stimulus check and the continuation of PUA, and then later on in this video we're going to discuss the Paycheck Protection Program in regards to certain big names who received forgivable loans. And as always, please consider hitting the like button, and let's get into it. In second stimulus check news, Mitch McConnell has signaled that the next stimulus check is still on the table. However, it may be more tightly defined as to who may be eligible for the next check. Here's the exact conversation that was had the other day. McConnell was asked if individuals would receive stimulus checks again in the next package like they did in the March package a couple months ago, to which he responded that it could be. First off, that alone is good news that he is still not taking it off the table altogether, because he is one of the few people left who are against more stimulus checks. There's a few others, but he was one of the few that were like, I don't know if we want to have that. So hearing him say there could be, to me, that's great news in itself. He followed up by saying, I think the people who have been hit the hardest are the people who make $40,000 or less per year. Many of them work in the hospitality industry. That could well be a part of it. That's a quote from him. I personally think this is the way to go if they want the next package to be more targeted, like we've heard reference to a few times. In fact, I actually suggested this in my video on June 23rd, where I said the current proposals to narrow down and make the next payment more targeted are just too complicated. And well, let me just show you a clip from that video. Or an even more simple way would be to just lower the income requirements to receive a full stimulus. They could lower it to something like $30,000 or $40,000 a year for a single filer adjusted gross income. So I gotta pat myself on the back a little bit for that one, because that was pretty dead on. Maybe Mitch is one of my subscribers and likes my ideas. Probably not, but a boy can dream. Anyways, moving on, Mitch also mentioned that the next package would include liability protections. We've heard this from him 101 times already. However, he defined it just a little bit better this time, saying that it would not just be to protect businesses, but also hospitals and schools. He probably said this because a lot of people hearing the liability protections for business have just been like, we don't care about what businesses are getting. Businesses are getting all this funding. People need the money. So it's probably good that he defined that, hey, businesses need this, it's important, but also hospitals need this and schools need this. I personally think it's an important thing to have liability protections. That way we can attempt to move on more quickly in a more safe manner. Obviously, liability protections aren't going to protect you if your business or hospital or anything like that is being negligent, but we want people protected if they're taking all the measures to be safe and reopen their businesses. Back to the next stimulus check, it's also being said that the next package will likely be bipartisan and easily voted through. That is when we do see the next package, hopefully sometime later this month. But thinking about this tells me something. The two major forms of direct money to people right now in a stimulus package is a direct check and PUA. I believe PUA and a next check are kind of looked at as similar ideas. Both give money to the people, and those programs are going to be used as bargaining chips to negotiate against each other. It also seems that more people are against continuing PUA, or at least the current dollar amount of PUA, than are against another check. So I believe Republicans will agree to another direct stimulus if it means a reformed or lower PUA. We could see some kind of sliding scale based on unemployment levels, or more simply, just a lower dollar amount for PUA. However, either way, it feels that almost certainly one of those are going to go through, or we might see both going through, but more limited, like a more targeted stimulus check and lower PUA, something like that. It just seems that it would be very unlikely that neither of those go through, in my opinion. as of right now. What are your guys' thoughts on this? What do you think is going to happen later on this month with PUA and the next check? Let me know in the comments. I'll be curious to see what you guys think. Before I move on to my next point, I would like to mention my sponsor. This video is brought to you by Harry's. Check out the link in my description below to get their trial set for only $3. This set includes a razor, this awesome shaving gel, and a travel case for your razor. It's $3 is a darn good deal, and you'll help out and support this channel along the way. Quick ad, moving on. All right, in the next piece of news, several lawmakers have been now linked to paycheck protection loans and grants. The biggest name on the list is Nancy Pelosi. Her husband, Paul Pelosi, owns part of a business called EDI Associates, which invests in the El Dorado Hotel in Sonoma, California. And according to disclosure forms, Paul Pelosi's stake is 8.1% and worth between somewhere around $250,000 to $500,000. EDI Associates reportedly received a loan through the Paycheck Protection Program somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000 to $1 million. The official statement on this from the Pelosi family is Paul is a minor investor in the company and is not involved in or even aware of the Paycheck Protection loan. And this isn't the only person. Other legislators who benefited from the Paycheck Protection Program include Representative Mike Kelly, who received between $450,000 and $1.05 million for his car dealerships. Representative Mark Wayne Mullen, who received between $800,000 and $2.05 million for his plumbing companies, and Representative Kevin Hern, who received between $1 million and $2 million for his McDonald's franchises. And that's not all of them. There are many others. I just wanted to list a few just to kind of show what's going on. But you get the point here that there are legislators benefiting from these programs, whether they know it or not. Most of these cases, they're minority shareholders. I find it kind of hard to believe that they wouldn't know that their business is applying for these, even if they're minority shareholders, because I think about it, if I was a business owner who also owned a business with a legislator, I would probably call them and be like, hey, we're thinking about using this program that you helped pass through. What are your thoughts on the program? But I mean, we can't say for sure, but it just seems like you would at least know. Now, as far as I can tell, there are no laws keeping them from applying for these loans or being affiliated with businesses who receive these loans or benefiting from it in any way. And generally, I don't think that they should be barred from benefiting from these programs either. I think if the general public should be allowed, they should be allowed with some stipulations that I'll cover in a little bit. That's because these programs are really to help support the employees of a business more than they support the owner of a business. Yes, there is a secondary benefit that the owner gets, that where they're not going to lose as much money during this downturn. They might not lose their business altogether because of these loans. They're going to be better off financially in the long term because of these. And don't get me wrong, my first gut reaction to reading this news was it felt a little bit corrupt. However, when I think about it, it just would be unfair to the employees at those businesses if they had to lose their jobs because one of the owners is or is related to some legislator. I mean, let's say you worked at a hotel that some senator owned 5% of, and then you had to lose your job because he owned 5%. That would suck. But one thing I believe should be done is what Senator Joni Ernst's plan was, that would require a disclosure of all paycheck protection loans to businesses affiliated with legislators. This only makes sense to me. I think the way to do it is to allow these people to get the loans as long as they're on the same playing field as everyone else. I mean, there's funding left over, so there's not businesses who are excluded because these people got loans as of right now. So as long as they're on the same playing field, and they need to disclose everything. That way, the public can determine whether they benefited more or less or the same as the general public could from these programs. That seems totally fair to me. Well, we're on the topic of paycheck protection. Kanye West's company also received a substantial paycheck protection loan despite his reported net worth of $1.3 billion. His company Yeezy LLC received a loan somewhere between $2 million and $5 million to help support his payroll for his 160 employees. So this one is a bit conflicting because there really is nothing saying a billionaire couldn't apply for one of these loans. However, does he really need this? No, probably not. But we also don't really know if he does or not. Let's take a look at the facts here. Kanye reportedly has a net worth of $1.3 billion. He's obviously very wealthy, but it's important to note that we don't really know how accurate that figure is or his true financial situation. Entertainers whose brand is success are notorious for over-reporting their net worth, sometimes by magnitudes of 10 or more. And unless he's submitting tax returns or owns a public business, it's almost impossible to get a truly accurate picture of his wealth or anyone else's private wealth for that matter. I mean, his own sister-in-law, Kylie, was caught doing this exactly recently. They over-reported her wealth so she could look like a billionaire, and then they took it away later because they realized, hey, this just isn't legitimate. So what I'm saying is we wouldn't know from the outside whether he's worth $1 billion or $100 million. Either way, does he need this loan? Still probably not. And I'm not here defending this super rich guy, but the point is we can't for certain know his situation, and the LLC isn't technically him. It's a technically separate entity altogether, so we can't really look at the owner based on the business. Elon Musk could own a business that does $500,000 a year and have applied for the Paycheck Protection loan under that. That's just how the program's set up. Another point is Kanye probably didn't apply for this loan personally. Kanye likely has a business manager at Yeezy whose job is to increase profits and gets paid bonuses on profits. And that person saw that they could pick up a few $1 million quickly and legally, so they did it. The only reason we know about this is because he's a public figure, and it's interesting to hear a billionaire who got a couple $1 million free. But no doubt most businesses who could apply did, regardless whether they really needed the money or not, or if their owner is a billionaire or not. I mean, you can scale this down. It seems crazy for a billionaire, but let's scale this down. If you had $50,000 in your bank account and were offered another $1,200 stimulus check, would you take it? Most would. Maybe you personally wouldn't, but most would. It's the same thing, only larger. The problem is, with all of this, is the system. If they didn't want the ultra wealthy to apply, they should have had more safeguards, maybe like a net worth safeguard, but they didn't. The rules were so vague and easy to curtail from the very start, and they never were amended even once they were called out that public companies were applying and all these other crazy things. I mean, I'm sure more rich people than Kanye applied and received money through this loan that aren't public figures that we just don't know about. So finally, let's end on a piece of positive news. And it's looking like we'll see another round of paycheck protection loans available in the next stimulus check for those businesses that are hit the hardest. Now, this hasn't been confirmed 100%. However, it seems that just about everyone is in favor of this. So I'm going to keep you updated on this as more news comes. But this is one of the few things that is pretty certain that the hardest hit businesses will hopefully receive some more relief in the near future. So this is all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a profitable day.